So who remembers the ancient adage that begins, to know? To know, to dare,
Oh.
to do, and to be silent. To know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. There's another version of it, to know, to dare, to will, and to be silent. Yet in the summit that many of us were in, to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. To do, I think it has a little bit more oomph than just to will. And to do, you have to have the will. To know, to dare, to do, or to will, and to be silent. This important alchemical statement is for initiates. It has been perverted by the dark forces who also use the same formula, yet for evil deeds and darkness. What happens when we utter this statement with complete meaning and then we engage in this knowingness, daringness, the will to do, and then the silence of not revealing the alchemy of what we are doing? We are setting forth a matrix of perfection in the four quadrants of being and fulfilling an ether before we make the statement, and then in the fire element, then in the air element, then in the water element, and finally in the earth element. The seed patterns of perfection, anything that we desire to precipitate, to accomplish, to fulfill. So before this statement, we are in the etheric world, or the world of ether, even though we call the fire body the etheric body. Beyond fire is ether, and we contemplate in ether before we make a statement, and then before we enter into this knowingness, this daringness, doingness, and the silence. In ether, we influence the subconscious, which unfortunately for most people upon the earth has become almost like a cesspool of negative memories and negative habit patterns. When we clear the subconscious, we can be free because we can act from a higher superconscious state of pure knowingness. I was reading a book recently that was sent to me. I think it was by Brian Clemmer. And it's very interesting that many people fail because they do not realize that their subconscious is really in control in many ways of their lives. Their patterns are there in the subconscious. And even if, like Paul says in the New Testament, the good that I would do, I don't, and the evil that I wouldn't do, I do, paraphrasing him, the subconscious patterns are so influential and so ingrained in our being from lifetimes of creating these patterns and these habit patterns and all kinds of matrices that we don't even realize that we are following. They're like grooves in our life that people just kind of act out of this matrix or from this matrix, these grooves, without realizing that they're doing it. So how do we deal with this? How do we overcome the negative subconscious patterns? We have to be willing to change. We can repattern them by first recognizing what is unreal or not beneficial within these subconscious patterns. we can unravel them by, at least momentarily after we recognize them, choosing to disassociate from them or to have them no longer be a part of us. And to completely do this, we must transmute them. We must overcome them by getting rid of them completely, eliminating them from our lives and the subconscious. And one of the best ways to do this is using the violet light, the violet flame, and Ho'oponopono. Yet we must always be willing to change, because if we have these patterns and we don't realize that we have them, or we don't have them revealed to us by others, our loved ones sometimes, or even friends and coworkers, then we will just continue to act from these propensities. And they are so ingrained that it's like they're hidden, they're diabolical. We have these scotomas, which are blind spots. We don't know what we don't know because we're ignorant of what is really transpiring. So Moria says we have to replace our human propensities and densities with divine proprieties and destinies. You take the word density and you just move a couple letters around and you have destinies. So to replace the human propensities and densities with the divine proprieties and destinies, we choose God. We choose the higher walk in the light. We choose to enter into the divine world, associate with angels and ascended masters, work with them as consciously as we can, name them in our preambles, because by naming them we begin this divine association. We give them the authority to act in our world, yet by naming them, they also pull us up from our world to their world. So even as we give the ascended masters the authority to act by naming them in our preambles in the I Am name, what we also can realize is that by doing that, we are in a divine association with them, where in addition to them in a positive way affecting our life and world and our 3D situation, they also draw us up. This is the best way for them to get through to us, is by drawing us up, by us having more light, more divine energy, more consciousness of God, and then moving beyond these propensities. So to let go of past preconceived notions, prejudices, propensities, takes will. This is where the daring and the will come in. Yeah, first we have to know that we have these. And many times we move through life not realizing the influences of parents, of siblings, of our past lives, of the patterns that we've accepted even in utero and early childhood and then moving forward. And we act as if almost someone else was acting through us because these patterns are so ingrained. So to be free, we have to soar to our I Am presence, willingly, lovingly, and consciously, and with great knowledge and wisdom, choose to now set forth the divine patterns and engage in the divine proprieties so that we can carve out our higher destiny with spirit. When we say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, we are actually recognizing that we've made mistakes, we've erred, we've come short of the mark, we've done something that has influenced or impacted others in a negative way. And just being willing to say, I'm sorry and please forgive me, is a major thing for many people. They always desire to be right. Do you know people that just always desire to be right and never bend the knee or confess that they made a mistake? Well, I hope none of us are that way. I mean, if we are very fast to ask for understanding, to beg forgiveness, to say I'm sorry, we show our true humility, and then we can move forward on the path. If we are not willing, there's the will again, or daring enough to acknowledge that we've made mistakes or come short of the mark, then we will just continue in those grooves ad nauseum, to the point where at some point there's going to be something that will shock us out of those grooves, and it can be an intense disease, it can be a real challenging situation in our relationships or our marriages, it could be an accident or something that forces us to look deeper and go deeper and deeper and carve out these subconscious patterns. So we desire the divine influence of our I Am Presence, the divine afflatus of the Holy Spirit to move through us unabated without any pattern suppressing the divine light to do its perfect work through us, to actually work in a co-creative way as we are in our higher mindful spirit and divine consciousness or super consciousness. So the key to transmitting the subconscious is going into the superconscious, because in the superconscious, you've gone way beyond the limitations of the carnal mind, the dweller on the threshold, the lesser self, the negative influencers that we've accepted into our subconscious that others have maybe foisted upon us. If someone has told you in the past, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, you should go with the crowd or whatever, is that freeing? Is that liberating? Is that real for you and what you truly desire? So let us consciously let go of all negative influences, all subconscious patterns that have belied us and lied to us. They have limited us, have created within us engrams of darkness or limitation. They've prescribed a circle around us saying, you can't do more than this because this is who you are. You are a human being. You are not a divine spirit. You are limited in this dimension. Well, maybe we are somewhat limited in this dimension in one sense in our body, yet our spirit is not limited. Our spirit is potentially active in domains far beyond this world if we choose to engage with these divine proprieties and destinies rather than the human propensities and densities. When we sing Song 100, which we'll sing now, the Ho'oponopono song, Healing with Ho'oponopono, let us understand the matrix of these subconscious patterns and consciously release them, and realize that as we're releasing them, we are creating a pathway for new superconscious divine patterns, new and higher divine habit patterns to be our true influencers as we move forward. Recognizing this, we can heal. We can truly heal. And I believe Jesus and other great healing masters knew this science. They were able to see into the subconscious the patterns that were there. They held the light. They held the vision. They perceived the divine within the individual. And by the power of their perception, their vision, they transmuted the negative patterns, the karmic patterns, with such great power and light that people could receive instantaneous healing. So with God, all things are possible. If you're suffering in some way today, if you're experiencing a challenge in your life, it seems like you can't get beyond a certain constraining wall or bar, breathe deeply, let go, accept the Holy Spirit afflatus, see the negative patterns dissolved, transmuted, consumed through this forgiveness ray of the violet light, and feel yourself being released into a new and higher world. This is miraculous if we accept it, if we can actually be willing to have it manifest in our world. We have to be willing. There's the will again. And then after we're healed, after we're disassociated from the dark patterns and the engrams, don't go and tell the whole world. Just kind of enjoy the silence of the knowingness of your greater goddess state of beingness in the light. Maybe there will be a time later to share the alchemy of overcoming. Don't do it too quickly, though, because then it kind of spoils the victory sense by diffusing the cosmic energy that you've now accessed through the overcoming experience. So let's sing Song 100.
Ho'oponopono, ho'oponopono, ho'opono, ho'oponopono, 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 ho'opono, ho'oponopono. When a thought comes in this world and it bugs me and I get angry, to release it, I make it mine. I own it so I can heal it. Hear me saying, hear me praying, aloha. I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, enjoy, thank you, enjoy. Connecting to the divine. Clean, clean, clean up to shine. I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. Ho'oponopono, ho'oponopono, ho'opono, ho'oponopono, 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 ho'opono, ho'oponopono. When I'm feeling in this world frustrated and aggravated, to release it, I make it mine. I own it so I can heal it. Hear me saying, hear me praying, aloha. I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, enjoy, thank you, enjoy. Connecting to the divine. Clean, clean, clean up to shine. I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. Ho'oponopono, ho'oponopono, ho'opono, ho'oponopono, 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 ho'opono, ho'oponopono. When events come in this world, rub me wrong, and I judge them. To release it, I make it mine. I own them so I can heal them. Hear me saying, hear me praying, aloha. I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, enjoy, thank you, enjoy. Connecting to the divine. Clean, clean, clean up to shine. forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me.